I'm going to start. I'm so excited to get started. So, thank you for joining this webinar. This is called From Ghosted to Hired: How to Fast Track to Your Next Offer. And one of the things that I have learned since I started my company is that there are ways to get hired faster. And unfortunately, people just don't know them. And so, I have kind of made it my mission to teach people of all ages, of all fields, how to get hired. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I hope you have had dinner and you're not like drooling right now, but I want to start out by telling you to imagine this scenario. So imagine you are in the minivan with your family, and you may be one of the adult kids or you may be the parent, and everyone is starving. And you are just like, oh my gosh, I wish we knew where to stop to eat. And all of a sudden, you see this billboard, and you're like, that looks amazing. I would love to eat that, but I don't even know where to go. I don't have enough information. So you drive a little bit further down the road and you see this billboard. And this one is actually saying things like, this is made with fresh ingredients. The chef graduated from the Culinary Institute of America, voted best burgers 5 years in a row. And your family's like, yeah, that sounds fantastic. But how do we find this amazing place? And then all of a sudden you hit the billboard, the one that tells you everything you need. It's at exit 420. It's open till 11 p.m. It's family friendly. They have clean bathrooms and they're voted best burgers 4 years in a row. How does that sound? A lot better, right? And so what you saw through these is a big miscommunication. You and your family needed to know what the location was and where this was and all these things, but you didn't have that information. And this is exactly what happens when job seekers do not present themselves in a way that matches what the employer is looking for. It makes it so much harder to land a job or land an internship when you're saying one thing and the employer needs you to say another thing. And so we call this the big disconnect. And why is that the case? We know that 72% of job seekers say that they are struggling to get invited to interviews. 72%. We also know that companies say that they cannot find good people. In fact, 69% of companies polled by LinkedIn say that they cannot find good people. So we have a huge communication disconnect, and there's more to it too. There's a lot of things that play into this, and we're gonna unpack 3 of them tonight. And I am going to show you how you, as a job seeker, can do 3 really important things to bridge this disconnect so you can get hired. All right, so this is just a visual, right? We've got help wanted on one side, hire me on the other side, and we need to fix this. And so, as I'm going to tell you, I'm working on doing both of those things. So I want you to know that you are in the right place on this call if you are currently employed, but you're looking for a higher paying, more fulfilling role. You're also in the right place if you are tired of being ignored, overlooked, or stuck in a job search rut. And lastly, if you are ready to ditch outdated job search tactics and start seeing real traction. I want you to put a 1, 2, or a 3 in the chat right now, telling me which one best describes you, a 1, 2, or a 3. I gotta see it. 2. So you're tired of being ignored. It's frustrated. 1. All of them. Yeah, Whataburger. I just saw that, Giancarlo. um, let's see. All of them. One, you're employed. Two, you're not employed. Three, you are ready to figure out what is not working. Okay, well, thank you guys all for your input on that. That means that you are 100% in the right place. Oops, let's see, it's not letting me. Okay, there we go. So before I go any further, I just want to tell you a little bit about who's me and who's leading this call today so that you can put a face with the name and the qualifications behind it. Because
They
here's
bought more
what, oh, I think if you can
phone
mute,
things for the basement.
if you can all mute, that would be awesome. Okay, so I want to put a face with the name and the experience because here's the thing. I know that people find job search advice in so many different places. They find it on Google. They find it through asking their parents or their friends or their neighbors or their coworkers. They find it through what I consider to be an ocean of advice on the internet. But how do people know who to listen to? And I believe that you should listen to, oh, the other thing is you find it on social media. There are so many people out there on social media giving job search advice, and some of them are doing a really good job with that. And I can tell you a lot of them have never worked in human resources, have never been a recruiter, or if they've been a recruiter, they never hired people. And so it's a two-pronged approach. It's one thing to be a recruiter, it's a whole nother thing to have actually been the hiring manager and actually had to hire yourself. So I want you to know this about me. I have been in HR for over 28 years. I've worked for all of the companies on the right. I've worked for these companies, and you might recognize some of them, if not all of them. I've worked in a variety of different industries, and it does not matter what industry I am helping people get hired for, or what industry, or what major they have, what field they're in. These job search tools work for everything. I have hired thousands and thousands of people in my day. One of the things I did for McDonald's was I worked on the McDonald's Olympic food service team. And just for that event alone, staffing the Olympics for McDonald's in 1996, I hired 1,000 people. So just know that there's a lot of experience here. And then in 2021, I founded my own company called Lime Rock Consulting, and I purposely left the corporate world. My last job was a senior vice president of human resources. I left so that I could teach people how to get hired. That was the number one mission that I had because I was tired of being on the interviewer side of the table and watching people struggle. And I knew that if I could create a company where I went to the other side of the interview table and I was a guide and a teacher for people who are looking for work, that I would be able to make an even bigger impact. So that's what I did. I've been doing it for almost 4 years, be 4 years in April. And I'm up to 172 people that I've gotten hired in right like about 3 years. Okay. So I know it said four, but I didn't start this type until a little bit later. So I help people get hired, but I don't just help them. I teach people how to get hired. I am not a headhunter or a recruiter anymore. I am somebody who comes alongside of you, teaches you everything I know about getting hired, and teaches you job search skills to last a lifetime. So I've been a human resources leader, the hiring manager, the recruiter, and a career consultant. And I am here to give you the advice that I have. All right, so let's go. So, how do we bridge this disconnect? There are more than three things we can do to bridge the disconnect, but I'm going to focus today on the most important things that can help you get hired. The first thing is that I want to help you fix roadblocks that you have in your resume and your LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to talk to you about what works and what doesn't work. Next, I'm going to talk to you about the secret sauce, which I'll just tell you now, it's networking. It is game changing when people network in their job search versus solely apply online. And next, I'm going to talk to you about what it means to improve your interview skills. No more winging it when you go into an interview. You are going to learn some tips that will help you stand out. And so that hiring manager will have no other choice but to offer you the job. All right, so let's go to number one. Fix the hidden roadblocks in resume and LinkedIn. I want to teach you the most important things that a hiring manager or a recruiter, whoever's looking at your resume first, will want. Okay, so these are actually what I would consider non-negotiables. And when somebody has a resume that is not working for them, it is almost impossible to get interviews. So I want to tell you that again. If your resume is not working in your favor, you will likely not be getting interviews. The other reason that you might not be getting interviews is number two, because you're not networking enough. So I tell people when they call me, I say, tell me what you've been doing. And they'll tell me, and I'll say, have you been getting interviews? And they'll generally say no, which is why they're calling me. And I'll say, it's either your resume or you're not networking enough. And then if they say, gosh, no, Mindy, I am getting interviews, I'm just not getting hired, then we work on the interview skills. Okay. So we're going to start with this one because it's like the number one ticket to entry for someone to interview you. So here's what we know about resumes. People look at them for 5 to 7 seconds. That is all. And sometimes people will say to me, yeah, I know the younger generation doesn't have a big attention span. Guess what? None of us have a big attention span anymore. And resumes are meant to be succinct. So if your resume is 2 pages, you should have at least 10 years experience, but you can't have more than 2 pages. It doesn't matter if you have 28 years experience like me. 2 pages is the absolute maximum for a resume. Now, if you have worked for less than 10 years, I would try very hard to get that on 1 page because remember, nobody is going to read that whole resume. And that's probably the biggest thing you can take away is no one, even the people who are interview you, they're not reading your whole resume. You have to make it stand out so that it will get you invited to interview. The number one purpose of your resume is to get you invited to interview. Okay, so the next thing is your resume needs to get past the applicant tracking system. That is also called the ATS. And it's the first step. It's the robot who looks at your resume before anyone else does. Okay, so it's when you apply online, anywhere, whether you apply on Indeed or LinkedIn or Monster.com or the company's website, wherever you're applying online, your resume is going through an ATS. If you have pictures, QR codes, hyperlinks, graphics of any kind, you can pretty much be sure your resume is going straight to the junk folder. Straight. No one is seeing your resume if it has those things. Even if you hand your resume to somebody, it is still going to get scanned into the applicant tracking system. So simple is best, content over creativity. So the applicant tracking system is not just about keywords. It's really the first filter to get your resume seen. Next, good resumes these days focus on skills and results. We don't need it to read like a job description. In fact, if it does read like a job description, it is very unlikely you are going to get an interview. And I will talk to you about how to fix that in the next couple slides. And then last is just resumes can't be one size fits all. They can't be generic. A generic resume is not going to entice someone to want to interview you. So how do we fix this? And then this is going to translate to your LinkedIn because your resume's first and then you build your LinkedIn profile. So I want you to focus on ATS friendly first. Like I said, no graphics, no pictures, no QR codes, no hyperlinks, none of that. However, so when you know you have that all fixed, then I want you to focus on adding some keywords and skills that the job description calls for. So I want you to use ChatGPT to your favor. Put in that job description into put the job description, cut and paste it into ChatGPT and ask it, what are the skills that this company is looking for and what are the keywords? And if you have those skills, make sure that you list them on your resume. And if you can add keywords naturally, now I do not mean what they call keyword stuffing, which is to put a ton of them on there. I don't want you to do that. I think it's a total waste of time. But if you can pick 4 or 5 keywords from that job posting and make sure that you put it in your resume, that's going to work. Okay. So make sure that you can get past the ATS and that you can grab their attention. Now, the asterisks on here are for a reason. I do not want you to rewrite your resume every single time you want to apply for a job. If it takes you more than, with the help of AI, if it takes you more than 30 minutes to edit a resume for a job, I would question that. You should have one solid resume and then tweak it and tailor it to the job you're applying for, but do not rewrite the whole thing. Do not. It's not worth your time. I promise. Next, you need to showcase skills and not just skills, modern skills. So if you are a job seeker who's more my age, I am 55 years old, and it is important to show your skills that are modern and relevant and up to date. Because if we don't keep updating our skills, we will grow obsolete in the workforce. And even if you are much younger, college, post-college, early career, mid-career, you should talk about modern skills because it shows that you are up to date, right? So if you know how to use AI, put that on there. If you see industry trends or industry skills that are super important these days, put those on there. Put relevant certifications. Being able to show how qualified you are is really important. Next, I thought I made up this word, but spell check did not highlight it. So I guess glanceable is a word. So my advice next is to make it glanceable. Use clear headings, bullet points, white space, so the recruiter can quickly glance at it. Because remember, 5 to 7 seconds is all you have. You have no more time than that. And so they have to be able to very quickly look at it and see who you are, what you bring to the table, and how you might fit for the job. So some quick things, if you don't have a professional summary at the top of your resume, I would absolutely add it, because if it's the one thing that people can look at quickly to get a high level overview of you. So this is glanceable is executive summary, real easy to read. I saw a resume yesterday that was like 6-point font. No way. You have to have it at least 10, maybe 9 if you're really, really trying to squeeze stuff in there. But less is more. You do not have to put everything you've ever done on a resume. You need to make sure it is relevant. Relevance is key. And so make it glanceable that someone could look at this for a very short amount of time and know that they want to invite you to interview. And next is to make sure, gotta move this little puppy. Okay, make sure that you focus on the impact that you have made. Like I said, you do not want your resume to read like a job description, because that says what you did. And that is not enticing. That is not impact. I'm going to talk to you on the next slide about what a good resume bullet looks like. But I can tell you, if you're just telling them what you did in a role, it is not going to get you, it's not going to be impressive. They want to know what impact you made in the role. So you want to make sure you start your resume bullets with a action verb, and then focus on results, not just tasks. And I'm going to show you, like I said, on the next slide about an XYZ bullet. Now, I want to also say, do not ever put full, complete sentences on your resume, and do not write paragraphs, right? It has to be scannable. Remember that glanceable word, the word I thought I made up, but I didn't. Make sure that it is something that is profound enough that will get you results. And so if they're glancing at it, they would love to see numbers and metrics and results. Okay. So let's talk about what a good resume bullet looks like. There we go. Okay. So I want you to, if you want to, there is going to be a replay that's going to go out in the morning, but if you really want to work on your own resume bullets, take your camera out, take a picture of this slide, because this is all about the best quality bullets. So Google came up with this. Google gets hundreds of thousands of applicants every year. So what Google does now is they say, don't even send us your resume if you're not using XYZ bullet format. And they didn't make it up, but they're the ones who really said, this is what a good resume bullet point looks like. And I could not agree more. Most job seekers just list what they did, but employers want to see your impact. So this is this is the formula. You accomplished X by doing Y, which resulted in Z. Okay. So accomplished what by doing what, which resulted in. So let's look at weak and strong. Weak, I managed social media accounts. Strong, increased engagement by 40% by developing a content strategy that boosted follower growth. Weak, I handled customer service calls. Strong, resolved 50 daily inquiries, improving customer satisfaction by 20%. I am going to ask you in the chat, tell me, is this new, this XYZ bullet point for you, or is it something that you feel like you've already nailed on your resume? So just like write new if in the chat, if this is something new to you. Anyone? Okay. All right. So if it's not, that's okay. But I want you to know that this is key to getting your resume noticed. Okay. So we are going to go on to the next thing because I'm talking fast here. All right. So a couple more news. Yeah. So this is taken a good seeing it already. Okay. Good. All right. So let's talk about the second one. The second tip I'm going to give you tonight is about what we said was the secret sauce to land better jobs and stop relying on job boards. I'm going to teach you as much as I can about networking in the next 15 minutes of this section. And there are going to be some things that you're going to hear that are going to be pretty surprising to you. Oops. It's like drawing on there. That's odd. Okay. Well, all right. So first, I want to tell you that we know that the majority of people only apply for jobs online. Okay. And so this is the vast majority of people. They blindly send applications over and over again. And so I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to put a number in the chat. Everybody guess. So what percent of hires do you think get hired from applying online? Just take a guess. Keep going. I need more. 15, 30, 10, 50. We're all over the board. 2, 55, 12. Lot of good guesses. A lot of good guesses. But the truth is, it's less than 5. It's actually 2%. 2% of people get hired from applying online. Now, usually when I tell people that, it's pretty shocking. Do you know that it's easier to get accepted into Harvard than it is to get a job from applying online? It's crazy. So when I tell people this, they tell me, Mindy, how am I supposed to job search then? I don't know what else to do. And that's why this networking section is so important, because as I'll tell you, we know that 80% of jobs are found through networking. We know it. It's a fact. Yep, it's a fact. 80% of jobs are found through networking. And so We have to network whether we want to or not. We need to have a LinkedIn profile. We need it to be updated. We need it to be relevant to the job. Everything we talked about the resume also has to happen on your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about networking on the coming slides, but I want to tell you more about what we know about networking. Employee referrals are the best hires. I'm telling you that from a hiring manager perspective, from an HR leader. Anybody who is a referral into a company is exactly what we want. They get fast tracked. They get fast tracked to the front of the line. So anytime you can find somebody within your network or connect with somebody at the company, which is one of the things I teach, that can give you a referral, you have the best chance of getting hired over any other way to get hired. You cannot ignore LinkedIn. I have people tell me all the time, gosh, I just don't like LinkedIn. I don't like social media. I don't like putting myself out there. I'm a private person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. LinkedIn is not going anywhere. Virtual networking is here to stay. And if you choose to job search without LinkedIn, it is going to take you significantly longer to get hired. And it's not just creating a profile, it's not a set it and forget it and never touch it again. It's an actual profile where you have an optimized profile that is your digital resume and more, to be honest. Because remember, I told you can't have more than a 2-page resume, but shoot, you can put a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. You should still make it relevant, but you can put a lot more stuff on LinkedIn and optimize it, engage, and connect with industry pros. It's not, like I said, a set it and forget it. And if we're sleeping on LinkedIn, like I said, I'm going to say it again, it is going to take so much longer to get hired. And then lastly, we know that following up gets great results. And so many times with networking, we'll make one connection. And then if they didn't have anything for us, or maybe they didn't respond, we'll just let it go. But we know that following up on both networking and when you apply absolutely helps your resume get seen. And so let's talk about the 4 things regarding networking that you have to change and you have to start doing. Next. Okay. All right. First, networking is a two-way relationship. It is not smart to just go in and say, hey, Sarah, I haven't heard from you for a while. Just wanted to connect and see if you had any openings at your company. That is not networking. That is an ask. And you want to make sure that you are connecting with this person. Networking is a two-way relationship that will last your entire career if you do it right. And so if you are making an intro, congratulating them on something, asking how they're genuinely doing, or how are you spending spring break with your family, or how are your holidays, offering an article in the industry, think about networking as a two-way relationship. And so I want you to think about it is as if you were at a networking event, would you just walk up to somebody and say, hey, do you have any leads at your organization? No, you wouldn't do that. You would start talking to them first, right? And building a rapport. So one of the things people get wrong about networking is they think that they have to ask something and then they fear rejection. So I asked and they didn't have anything. And so I was rejected. So that didn't work. I don't want to do that again. It's not about being rejected. It's about building a relationship. And you never know when someone is going to think of you again if you rekindle that friendship or relationship, or if you have something new. I was just telling Laura, who is managing the call for me, Laura is on my team, and I was just telling her before the call today that I just had someone reach out to me that I had not heard from since September of 2023, and they want to hire me. And so how do you think that they saw me? They still see me on LinkedIn. They see me participate in networking activities and things like that. So people will not forget you if you keep showing up. Next, again, ditch the do you know of any jobs? Don't go straight in and start asking that. Instead, you can ask for advice. referrals. I often tell people, instead of saying, do you have any jobs, just to open it up, not first, right? You're still going to build relationship first, but then say something like, do you happen to know anybody who has mentioned that they're hiring? Okay, so you're not asking them. It's not a yes, no. It's a, do you happen to know anybody? I know you have a big network. Have you heard of any companies that are hiring? Things like that will go a lot further. Next, you've got to engage online and offline. So remember, I said LinkedIn is here to stay. It totally is. But guess what? In-person events have not gone away. They're here. And so whether you're in human resources and you're looking for a job, go to the local Society for Human Resources Management lunch. There are 100 HR people in the room, right? And introduce yourself, take a copy of your resume, connect with them on LinkedIn, etc. So make sure that your networking strategy includes both online and in person, because there's no one way that works all the time with networking. There's no silver bullet. You got to do a little bit of everything. And then last but not least, that follow up. And it doesn't have to be annoying. Don't be annoying, but send a quick check in if you met somebody, or share again a relevant update. I'm still job searching, or I've had 5 interviews and haven't quite found what I'm looking for. I'd love to, just remind you that if you hear of anything, let me know. So, but again, none of this networking stuff happens without relationship first. That's what reminds people who you are. And so this can also go into effect of connecting with HR people at companies. When I work with career clients, I talk to them about how to find HR managers and recruiters who work for companies. And it's okay to follow up with them too. It just, don't think of networking as just a one and done. That's just not how it works. And so people get busy, and just because they haven't gotten back to you doesn't mean that they won't. So do the follow up. It works. All right. So again, here's what we know about networking. Virtual networking is here to stay. It is not going anywhere. And you can have a LinkedIn billboard, but if it doesn't speak to what the hiring manager is looking for, think back to the hamburger in the beginning, doesn't speak to what they're looking for, it's not relevant and up to date, and you're not engaging, commenting, finding people who work at companies you want to work for, if you're not using LinkedIn to its fullest, then you're missing out. And so your LinkedIn profile should profile what you bring to the table. So I want you to think back to those slides in the beginning with the billboards. You got to make sure what you're saying on your LinkedIn profile communicates value. And it's the same as relevance that we talked about with the resume bullets, right? So if you're just saying what you did and not the results that you got, your LinkedIn profile is not going to be as engaging. So make sure that you're using those same principles we talked about for the resume for your profile. And honestly, networking has never been easier before. The guys in the right got his phone out. It used to be that you could only network in person. And now we have obviously email, we have DMs, we have LinkedIn at our fingertips that we can add a connection. You can scan someone's LinkedIn and add them immediately to yours. You can send a thank you note from your phone. There's so much you can do from your phone. So networking has never been easier, and it's not something that you can sleep on. So again, I said this earlier, and if you leave this workshop with one thing, this is it. If we know that 80% of jobs are filled through networking, then 80% of your job search time should be spent networking. So when you outline your job search strategy, right, which is your plan for when you're going to job search, what you're looking for, what modes you're going to do. Are you going to look on company websites? Are you going to look on Indeed? Are you going to look on associations like SHRM or American Marketing Association, etc.? Or are you going to go to a networking event or a job fair, things like that? You've got to have a strategy, and 80% of your strategy, it just makes sense, is going to be networking. Now, I will tell you, it's the harder of the two. It's so easy to use Easy Apply. That's why it's called Easy Apply, right? It's so easy to just hit that button. But I just told you how many people actually get hired by doing that. And it's almost, I mean, like I said, 2%. I'll tell you the other thing that I wouldn't put in print. Well, I would put it in print, but I didn't, I guess I should say. I've never had a client in 4 years get hired from Indeed. Not one. Not one. And I also am a consultant for companies who are learning how to hire. And I have had one company find a good hire from Indeed. So it matters where you're spending your time networking. And if you do apply online, and I'm not saying you shouldn't ever apply online, I think that that would be crazy. But if you are applying online, make sure you're using the best sources, right? Don't just go straight to um, the big guns, because the truth is niche job boards are a lot more, you have a lot higher chance of getting someone to respond to you. When I worked for the Gap, huge company, we would post a job and within 24 hours, we would have a minimum of 1,000 applicants, a minimum. Like oftentimes it would be 2,000 in 24 hours. But if I posted on a niche job board, so let's say I was working for Gap and I needed a regional human resources manager, and I posted it on the Society for Human Resources Management job board on their website, I would maybe in 24 hours have 12. So that increases the chance of you getting noticed. Niche job boards work very well. So I know that you're still going to use job boards. Don't get me, I know it. However, it should be the minimum part of your strategy, and you should really up your networking game. Okay, the third thing is to improve your interview skills. Remember what I said about, oh, I just want to make sure. Oh, how to find niche job boards. You know what? I'm going to take questions. Uh, I'm going to take questions at the end. Okay. And so we can answer, I can answer all these. So just you can still write questions in the chat, and then Laura, if you can help read them to me at the end, that'd be great. But as you, if you want to write them now, you're welcome to. Okay. So number 3, improve your interview skills. Remember, I told you if people come to me and they have not, they're not getting hired, I say, if you're not getting interviews, it's either your resume or you're not networking enough. But if you're getting interviews and you're not getting hired, it's your interview skills. So let's talk about what interview skills will make you stand out. I can honestly tell you, when my clients get the interview, they almost always get the offer because they're so prepared on how to interview. All right, so let's talk about this. Preparation is key. As a hiring manager, we can tell in seconds if the person has prepared for the interview. And it's not, the problem is people don't really know how to prepare because they think it's research the company, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you think preparing for an interview is researching the company. This is the most common thing that I get. And here's the truth. Here is the truth. The person, I'm going to tell you to visualize this. Okay. I want you to visualize that you are sitting across the table right now and you are interviewing with me for a job. And I'm the hiring manager and you are the applicant. Okay. What do you think my number one, you can put this in chat. What's my number one need? What am I in there for? Why do I want to be in that room? Anybody? All right. To get the vibe of the person. Yeah, but it's honestly, David, you got it. My number one problem is my open job, right? My number one problem. All I care about is filling this job. And guess what? The sooner I can fill this job, the sooner my team is full and I can go back to action. I have no longer a hole on my team and I can get back to my day job, right? Of doing whatever I do, selling widgets, right? And so the problem is so many people are so afraid when they walk in the room to interview. And the truth is, the person sitting across from you wants you to get hired as much as you want to get hired. We are really, really, I mean, like our number one goal is to fill this job. So we want you to succeed. We do not want to waste our time. If we invited you to interview, we think there's a pretty good chance that you are going to be the one that we're going to hire. So this piece of advice is probably the most important thing I can tell you. Instead of focusing on memorizing things from the annual report and the website about the company, study that job description because my need is filling the role. And if you come in and you're like, oh, yeah, I know all these things. I saw that you did this charity and you did that. And I thought it was really cool that last year you guys had a huge company event that looked awesome. And I saw that you increased your sales by 2% over last year. Is that meeting my need? No, it is not meeting my need. What is meeting my need is somebody who can come in and they can say, this is my experience, my resume, right? And this is your job description. Let me connect the dots for you why I am the person to fill this job. So I tell people over and over again to study the job description. But I'm going to give you an AI tip that you absolutely need to do. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I'm going to do a twist. I want you to put that job description in ChatGPT, put your resume in ChatGPT, okay? And say, don't ask it to prepare interview answers for you. Don't do that. It never works. But what I do want you to do is say, based on this resume and this job description, tell me what I bring. How am I a match for this role? And in seconds, it is going to list for you all the things that you have that they're looking for. And that is what you talk about. Don't ask it to script answers for you. That is a complete waste of time. But if you know that ChatGPT can help you figure out what they're looking for, you'd be crazy not to do it. And then what I want you to do is say, hey, ChatGPT, what don't I have that they're looking for? And so at least you're ready if that you're missing something that they're looking for with you're not caught off guard, you're not surprised. And then you can go a step further and say, how would I answer if they ask me if I have excellent Excel skills and I don't? You can ask for that advice, but again, don't use chat to script your answers. We can read right through it. And to be honest, like memorizing answers never works. It never works. So if I can leave you with one thing about interviewing, it is to make sure you understand how to meet my need as the interviewer. And when you can successfully connect the dots to what you bring and what they need, you're going to get hired because that is the secret to the whole thing. And I like to say it also put the 80-20 rule. So if you know that, then 80% of your time interview preparation should be studying the job description, and the other 20%, go ahead and look up some facts about the company. Honestly, in all the years I've been doing this, 28 years, I've never asked anybody facts about the company because my need is always to fill the job. All right, so this is a huge one. It's so important. So next is get comfortable talking about yourself. This is a two-way conversation. And I'm not necessarily, I mean, yes, you have to sell yourself. You have to get comfortable talking about your strengths, what you do well, sharing your stories, talking about examples of times that you've done something. Those are the things that are key. So that's called behavioral interview questions. So get real comfortable with commonly asked interview questions and behavioral interview questions. But practice in front of a mirror, practice with a friend if you're nervous, but go into it having a conversation. All right. And next, like I said, practice, but do not memorize. Do not, you really want to keep it natural. Focus on telling a story of a time that you had good time management or a time that you raised the sales in your company. But don't be too scripted. And the more at ease you are, and more natural and more you're just having a conversation, the more they're going to be able to visualize. I'm sorry, I'm in my office and the cleaning crew is outside. So that'll probably happen one more time as they wheel by. The more they can you're relaxed and you're comfortable talking about yourself, the more they're going to be able to visualize having you as part of their team. Okay, and so the last thing, which is equally, no, thank you. That's so nice. They're coming to get our garbage, but I'm good. All right. So, okay. So the last thing is asking questions. I was actually um in my office the other day and I was overhearing somebody do an interview. And at the end, the person interviewing said, "Do you have any questions?" And the guy said, "No, I think you've answered them all. I'm good." And there are times that they do answer them all, right? But you still have to have at least 3 to 5 prepared and ready to go. So with the reason I say 5 is because if they answered 2 or 3, then you still have some questions left to ask. But I will tell you, it is so impressive when somebody can ask good, smart questions about the role, about what success looks like in the role, about what 30, 60, 90 days in the job might look like, about what other departments they cross collaborate with. There's so many good questions, and missing the chance to ask them is, or not taking the chance to ask questions is going to put you to the bottom of the list, because again, this is a two-way conversation and you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. And when you take that when you think like that, like I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me, then you really kind of mold into that natural conversation. So there are some non-negotiables with interviewing. One of them is after you leave, you connect with every single person you met on LinkedIn. You want to grow your network with these people, and then it's another chance for them to see your LinkedIn profile. So make sure you do that. You must send a thoughtful thank you email within 4 hours, reinforcing your interest and your value that you bring to the job. Okay. So I have people all the time say, "Oh, I didn't know I should still do that." Yes, you 100% should do a thank you note. And then last but not least, you have got to study that job description, because that is what is going to make you stand out. So here's what I hear all the time. People will say, "I really don't know how to job search, so I just look online and I look every day to see if there's new jobs posted that interest me." And I have to tell you, that is not an effective approach. That is a passive approach, and it will make your job search very long. If you want to use a proactive approach, you have to have that job search strategy, which includes a lot of networking. All right. So this is some of the reasons that I hear that people are having a hard time getting hired, right? They'll say, "I don't see anything posted that I'm interested in." They'll say, "I've applied a ton and I'm just not hearing anything back." Or, "None of my friends are having any luck either. It just must be a bad job market." And I also hear with this one, I see layoffs in the news, so I guess no one's hiring. That is a myth, by the way, but they'll say it. It's just a numbers game. The more I apply online, the higher chance I have to get a job. And I guess that could work, but it's not a strategy. All right, next, I'm unsure of what I'm looking for. It's hard for me to even apply because I don't really know what I'm looking for. I don't know how to network, or I'm too busy with work to even think about job searching. But the real reason I think most people are having a hard time with job searching is because, to be honest, no one taught you how to find a job. Job searching is a life skill that everybody needs. And when they have it, they have that skill for their lifetime. I can tell you, in 4 years, I have never had a client come back to me and say, "Mindy, can you update my resume, or can you sharpen my interview skills?" Because they learned the skill on how to find a job. And to be honest, they always tell me that now they're the expert among their friends, that everyone's asking them about job search advice. So I think that you just haven't been taught. And if you knew how to job search, you would be able to find something much, much quicker. So what makes those excuses go away? Gaining a strong understanding of the value you bring to a company, learning how to create a standout job search material. So that's resume, that's cover letter, that's LinkedIn profile, reference list, really just having the whole package ready to go when you're hiring. Effective training on how to interview and how to talk about yourself. It's not natural. And honestly, so many of us are behind screens so much that it doesn't come natural to talk about ourselves. And so when you learn how to do that, it becomes a lot easier to get hired. And then understanding of how to be successful at networking. Um, it's not a skill that you can't learn. You know, you can learn all of these things. And I've had people say to me, Mindy, I just am not good at networking, or Mindy, I'm just not good at interviewing. And I say, you're not good at it yet, but you haven't learned it yet. No one can just expect you to be good at something. And knowledge is power. It gives you the confidence to succeed. So when someone doesn't have job search skills, it's like they don't have the roadmap to get hired. And so you don't need excuses on why you can't get hired. What you need is a roadmap. So I use a philosophy that you've seen and heard several times, right? It's the old adage of give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, feed him for a lifetime. So I told you I'm not a headhunter. I don't do that because that's not what's going to get people hired and over again. What's going to get hired is when people learn job search skills. So remember, I think I said in the beginning, but if I didn't, here it is. Remember, the average time that it takes someone to find a job is 5 to 7 months. If you want my honest opinion, I think it's getting longer. I don't think it's getting shorter. My clients get hired in an average of 10 to 12 weeks, cutting it drastically down. So I want to tell you about a program that I have, and then I'm going to answer a few questions at the end. So I am launching a brand new program, and this is group coaching. So for the last 3.5, 4 years, I have been doing individual coaching, and I'm moving it into a group format for a variety of reasons. One, because I can make it a lot cheaper, and two, and I can, that way more people can use it. And then two, I can also give people the support that they need. When you're job searching, you feel alone, but when you're with a group of people, it feels a lot better. So I'm going to tell you about this and then answer just a couple questions. So this program is a group program that is hybrid. So what that means is that you will have dedicated support in these areas. So you're going to get personalized resume reviews, LinkedIn reviews, cover letter, etc., weekly live office hours, weekly live group training, and salary guidelines, or I'm sorry, salary negotiation advice. That was hard to say. Salary negotiation advice in real time, meaning, Mindy, I got an offer. Can I jump on the phone with you or someone from your team to process it? And that's going to happen. So these are all dedicated support that you get. And this program is forever. So once you do it, you have access to it forever. And so you get that group coaching. You'll also get group live interview training. So I work with people one-on-one and they get personalized, but when there's still so much power in learning in a group setting. So you're going to learn how to craft your interview questions that are so you can answer the questions in an interview in the way that hiring managers want to hear. And so we'll do it together, we'll practice together, and make sure everybody has that guidance that they need to interview well. You're also going to get access to a lot of training modules. So I said this is a hybrid program. So this program is going to be over app. You can use it on your phone on an app, and you can also use it on your desktop. And it gives you advice in every part of the job search, from creating your job search strategy to setting up your LinkedIn, how the settings should be, how to create a LinkedIn banner, commonly asked interview questions, informational interviews, you name it, questions to ask at the end of an interview. I cover almost too much in the modules. I say to people, like, everything is there, but they're in bite-sized pieces. Most of the videos are about 7 to 10 minutes long. And so I give you all my personalized advice for every part of the process, and you get access to them again for a lifetime. And then last but not least, you get a lot of bonus documents. You're going to get resume templates, cover letter templates, how to create an elevator pitch, how to do your references, how to show up at a job fair, and then 30 email templates. So done for you, written templates on how to network with someone, what to say if you are engaging with someone on LinkedIn, how to turn down an interview, how to thank someone for an interview, how to ask someone for a reference, you name it. Everything is there for you. And then and I always say, if there's not something there, like there's not a script for something, just let me know and I'll write you one. In addition to that, you get all these other things for bonus. So how do you track your applications? Job search strategy, career fair success guide. Somebody asked about niche job boards. You find there's a whole module on niche job boards. And then I give you this like top job search website list, which is super helpful. Questions to ask at the end of the interview, sample interview answers, so many different things, because I know through working with clients for as long as I have what they need, right? What they need. And so next, this altogether, this program is over $4,000. If I were to charge for it like it is $4,491. However, there is a launch price right now that is $997, and that is $1,000 off what the real price is going to be. So through through March 10th, the course is going to be $997, and after that it will go up to full price, which is $1,997, $1,997. So you have the opportunity to save $1,000 if you purchase before the 10th. Now, if you are like, Mindy, I came to this because I need help and I know that I need help, I am offering you, the rest of the people on the call, I am offering you, if you scan this here, you will also get an hour of one-on-one coaching with me or my team. And that is a $300 value. And you have to just use it within the first 6 months of purchasing. So if you are interested, scan that code and it'll also be in the deck in the morning for you. And you can take advantage of an extra hour with me. I'm happy to do that. So that's an extra $300 bonus. Okay, so from here you have two options. You can keep job searching on your own, which is going to take you time, or you can be guided through this process and, more importantly, learn skills that last you a lifetime. Because once you learn job search skills, you have them forever. And without job search skills, it just takes longer to find a job. So with that, the Career Elevation Collective is the program that is meant to get you hired significantly faster with elevated confidence, and then with those job search skills that you're never going to lose. So I am going to open it up now for a few questions. I'm actually going to not share my screen so I can see people. So, do I have any questions? And Laura, if you want to read any from the chat, feel free.
Yeah, I know you talked about the niche job boards, but did you want to add anything specific to tech or HR?
Sure. Yes. Builtin.com is really good for tech. But there are a lot more for tech. So tech is so big, right? Tech is a very general term. And so within tech or even within HR, there are more specific. So let's say in HR, or let's just say tech first. If you were like web design or what do they call that? User experience, UX, things like that, that could have a whole different niche job board than somebody who was great at data analytics. Okay, so just know that there's things like builtin.com, and then even within that, you can pare that down further. The best thing I would tell you is either Google, do you need to be bilingual? You do not. No, no, for sure. The thing that oh, are you asking if you need to be, I'm gonna go back to that one. I'm sorry, I thought she meant with this. Okay, so the question, so I would go to Google or chat and I would say, what are the niche job boards for this specifically? And they will tell you. And the best thing to do is to research it. Within HR, same. Okay. Within HR, you can be an expert in benefits. You can be an expert in recruiting. You can be an expert in training. And there's so many different ways that you can find niche job boards for that. All right.
And then Brian asked, you mentioned the average job search is now greater than 5 months. Is being unemployed still a stigma, and best way to address on resume?
You know what? I would say it's less of a stigma than it used to be. I think COVID and even all these layoffs that the government is having and things right now are making someone look for a job be less of a stigma if they're unemployed. I think unemployed is not near as bad of a stigma as it used to be. I would also say it's how you put it on your resume or how you share it and how you answer that in the interview that will also make a difference. So if you're getting interviews, I would say just make sure that you're answering it in a way that doesn't look negative. Like if you got fired, I probably wouldn't say it. So in the group program, we can definitely help you finesse answers so that you can, it cannot be a stigma. And I do think it's getting longer. I keep saying 6 to 8, but it really depends on the field. But more importantly, it depends on if you're job searching well. What else you got?
Megan, I don't know if Megan wants to expand upon her question of, do we need to be bilingual?
Megan, are you asking if you need to be bilingual to do my program? Or are you asking, I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
If we need to be able to speak 2 different languages out there in the job market, if that's.
You do not. It really depends on the field and what they're asking for. If a company or a job needs you to speak 2 languages or more, they will list it in the job description. I do not think that it is a deal breaker in any industry at all if you only speak 1 language. But if you're trying to get, obviously, it depends on, like, if I were to look for an HR job today, I would absolutely see job postings and I would network, and people would say, I would prefer or even mandate that I speak Spanish. I live in San Antonio, Texas. More than half of our population is Hispanic. And so it could be something that I see, but I'm also going to see tons of jobs where it's not needed. Any other questions I can answer for you all? All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I really hope you learned some things today that you may or may not be doing and that it can elevate your job search. Please, if you found out about me from Instagram, connect with me on LinkedIn and vice versa. I am cheering you on. I love what I do. I love teaching people how to get hired. And the sale goes on till the 10th. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming. Bye.